Test. Chapter 15. Nothing happened until afternoon. The doctor was a thin, quiet little man who seemed disturbed by the war. He took out a number of small steel splinters from my thighs with delicate and refined distaste. He used a local anesthetic called something or other snow, which froze the tissue and avoided pain until the probe, the scalpel or the forceps, got below the frozen portion. The anesthetized area was clearly defined by the patient, and after a time, the doctor's fragile delicacy was exhausted, and he said it would be better to have an x ray. Probing was unsatisfactory, he said. The x ray was taken at the Hospital Maggiore, and the doctor who did it was excitable, efficient, and cheerful. It was arranged by holding up the shoulders that the patient should see personally some of the larger foreign bodies through the machine. The plates were to be sent over. The doctor requested me to write in his pocket notebook my name and regiment and some sentiment. He declared that the foreign bodies were ugly, nasty, brutal. The Austrians were sons of bitches. How many had I killed? I had not killed any, but I was anxious to please, and I said I had killed plenty. Miss Gage was with me, and the doctor put his arm around her and said she was more beautiful than Cleopatra. Did she understand that? Cleopatra, the former Queen of Egypt. Yes, by God she was. We returned to the little hospital in the ambulance, and after a while and much lifting, I was upstairs and in bed again. The plates came that afternoon. The doctor had said, by God, he would have them that afternoon, and he did. Catherine Barclay showed them to me. They were in red envelopes, and she took them out of the envelopes and held them up to the light, and we both looked. That's your right leg, she said, then put the plate back in the envelope. This is your left. Put them away, I said, and come over to the bed. I can't, she said. I just brought them in for a second to show you. She went out, and I lay there. It was a hot afternoon, and I was sick of lying in bed. I sent the porter for the papers, all the papers he could get. Before he came back, 3 doctors came into the room. I have noticed that doctors who fail in the practice of medicine have a tendency to seek one another's company and aid in consultation. A doctor who cannot take out your appendix properly will recommend to you a doctor who will be unable to remove your tonsils with success. These were three such doctors. This is the young man, said the house doctor with the delicate hands. How do you do? Said the tall, gaunt doctor with the beard. The third doctor, who carried the X-ray plates in their red envelopes, said nothing. Remove the dressings, questioned the bearded doctor. Certainly. Remove the dressings, please, nurse, the house doctor said to Miss Gage. Miss Gage removed the dressings. I looked down at the legs. At the field hospital, they had the look of not too freshly ground hamburger steak. Now they were crusted, and the knee was swollen and discolored, and the calf sunken, but there was no pus. Very clean, said the house doctor. Very clean and nice. Said the doctor with the beard. The third doctor looked over the house doctor's shoulder. Please move the knee, said the bearded doctor. I can't. Test the articulation? The bearded doctor questioned. He had a stripe beside the three stars on his sleeve. That meant he was a first captain. Certainly, the house doctor said. Two of them took hold of my right leg very gingerly and bent it. That hurts, I said. Yes, yes. A little further, doctor. That's enough. That's as far as it goes, I said. Partial articulation, said the first captain. The first captain. He straightened up. May I see the plates again, please, doctor? The third doctor handed him one of the plates. No, the left leg, please. That is the left leg, doctor. You are right. I was looking from a different angle. He returned the plate. The other plate he examined for some time. You see, doctor, he pointed to one of the foreign bodies which showed spherical and clear against the light. They examined the plate for some time. Only one thing I can say, the first captain with the beard said. It is a question of time. 3 months, 6 months, probably. Certainly the synovial fluid must reform. Certainly, it is a question of time. I could not conscientiously open a knee like that before the projectile was insisted. I agree with you, doctor. 6 months for what? I asked. 6 months for the projectile to insist before the knee can be opened safely. I don't believe it, I said. Do you want to keep your knee, young man? No, I said. What? I want it cut off, I said. I can wear a hook on it. What do you mean, a hook? He is joking, said the house doctor. He patted my shoulder very delicately. He wants to keep his knee. This is a very brave young man. He has been proposed for the Silver Medal of Valor. All my felicitations, said the first captain. He shook my hand. I can only say that to be on the safe side, you should wait at least 6 months before opening such a knee. You are welcome, of course, to another opinion. Thank you very much, I said. I value your opinion. The first captain looked at his watch. We must go, he said. All my best wishes. All my best wishes, and many thanks, I said. I shook hands with the third doctor. Capitano Varini, Tenente Henry. And they all three went out of the room. Miss Gage, I called. She came in. Please ask the house doctor to come back a minute. He came in holding his cap and stood by the bed. Do you wish to see me? Yes. I can't wait 6 months to be operated on. My God, doctor, did you ever stay in bed 6 months? You won't be in bed all the time. You must first have the wounds exposed to the sun. Then afterward you can be on crutches for 6 months and then have an operation. That is the safe way. The foreign bodies must be allowed to insist, and the synovial fluid will reform. Then it will be safe to open the knee. Do you really think yourself I will have to wait that long? That is the safe way. Who is that first captain? He is a very excellent surgeon of Milan. He's a first captain, isn't he? Yes, but he is an excellent surgeon. I don't want my leg fooled with by a first captain. If he was any good, he would be a major. I know what a first captain is, doctor. He is an excellent surgeon, and I would rather have his judgment than any surgeon I know. Could another surgeon see it? Certainly, if you wish. But I would take Dr. Varella's opinion myself. Could you ask another surgeon to come and see it? I will ask Valentini to come. Who is he? He is a surgeon of the Ospedale Maggiore. Good. I appreciate it very much. You understand, doctor, I couldn't stay in bed 6 months. You would not be in bed. You would first take a sun cure. Then you could have light exercise. Then when it was insisted, we would operate. But I can't wait 6 months. The doctor spread his delicate fingers on the cap he held and smiled. You are in such a hurry to get back to the front? Why not? It is very beautiful, he said. You are a noble young man. He stopped, he stooped over and kissed me very delicately on the forehead. I will send for Valentini. Do not worry and excite yourself. Be a good boy. Will you have a drink? I asked. No, thank you. I never drink alcohol. Just have one. I rang for the porter to bring glasses. No. No, thank you. They are waiting for me. Goodbye, I said. Goodbye. 2 hours later, Dr. Valentini came into the room. He was in a great hurry, and the points of his mustache stood straight up. He was a major. His face was tanned, and he laughed all the time. "How did you do it, this rotten thing?" he asked. "Let me see the plates." "Yes, yes. That's it. You look healthy as a goat. Who's the pretty girl? Is she your girl?" "I thought so. Isn't this a bloody war? How's that feel? You're a fine boy. I'll make you better than new. Does that hurt?" "Bet it hurts. How they love to hurt you, these doctors. What have they done for you so far?" "Can't that girl talk Italian? She should learn. What a lovely girl. I could teach her. I'll be a patient here myself." "No, but I will do all your maternity work free. Do you understand that? She'll make you a fine boy. Fine blonde like she is." "That's fine. That's all right. What a lovely girl. Ask her if she eats supper with me." "No, I won't take her away from you." "Thank you. Thank you very much, miss. That's all. That's all I want to know." He patted me on the shoulder. "Leave the dressings off. You have a drink, Dr. Valentini?" "A drink? Certainly. I'll have 10 drinks. Where are they?" "In the armoire. Miss Barkley will get the bottle." Cheerio. Cheerio to you, miss. What a lovely girl. I will bring you better cognac than that." He wiped his mustache. "When do you think it can be operated on?" "Tomorrow morning." "Not before. Your stomach must be emptied. You must be washed out. I will see the old lady downstairs and leave instructions. Goodbye. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll bring you better cognac than that. You are very comfortable here. Goodbye. Until tomorrow. Get a good sleep. I'll see you early." He waved from the doorway. His mustaches went straight up. His brown face was smiling. There was a star and a box on his sleeve because he was a major. This doesn't sound too bad with the fan. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Push that back a little bit. Chapter 16. That night, a bat flew into the room through the open door that led onto the balcony, and through which we watched the night over the roofs of the town. It was dark in our room, except for the small light of the night over the town, and the bat was not frightened, but hunted in the room as though he had been outside. We lay and watched him, and I do not think he saw us because we lay so still. After he went, we saw a searchlight come on, and watched the beam move across the sky, and then go off, and it was dark again. A breeze came in the night, and we heard the men of the anti-aircraft gun on the next roof talking. It was cool, and they were putting on their capes. I worried in the night about someone coming up, but Catherine said they were all asleep. Once in the night, we went to sleep, and when I woke, she was not there, but I heard her coming along the hall, and the door opened, and she came back to the bed and said it was all right. She had been downstairs, and they were all asleep. She had been outside Miss Van Kempen's door and heard her breathing in her sleep. She brought crackers, and we ate them and drank some vermouth. We were very hungry, but she said that would all have to be gotten out of me in the morning. I went to sleep again in the morning when it was light, and when I was awake, I found she was gone again. She came in looking fresh and lovely, and sat on the bed, and the sun rose while I had the thermometer in my mouth, and we smelled the dew on the roofs, and in the coffee of the men at the gun on the next roof. I wish we could go for a walk, Catherine said. I'd wheel you if we had a chair. How would I get into a chair? We'd do it. We could go out to the park and have breakfast outdoors. I looked out the open doorway. What we'll really do, she said, is get you ready for your friend Dr. Valentini. I thought he was grand. I didn't like him as much as you did, but I imagine he's very good. Come back to bed, Catherine, please, I said. I can't. Didn't we have a lovely night? Can you be on night duty tonight? I probably will, but you won't want me. Yes, I will. No, you won't. You've never been operated on. You don't know how you'll be. I'll be all right. You'll be sick, and you won't be anything, and I won't be anything to you. Come back then, now. No, she said. I have to do the chart, darling, and fix you up. You don't really love me, or you'd come back again. You're such a silly boy. She kissed me. That's all right for the chart. That's all right for the chart. Your temperature is always normal. You've such a lovely temperature. You've got a lovely everything. Oh no, you have the lovely temperature. I'm awfully proud of your temperature. Maybe all our children will have fine temperatures. Our children will probably have beastly temperatures. What do you have to do to get me ready for Valentini? Not much, but quite unpleasant. I wish you didn't have to do it. I don't. I don't want anyone else to touch you. I'm silly. I get furious if they touch you. Even Ferguson? Especially Ferguson. And Gage. And the others. What's her name? Walker? That's it. They've too many nurses here now. There must be some more patients, or they'll send us away. They have 4 nurses now. Perhaps there will be some. They need that many nurses. It's quite a big hospital. I hope some will come. What would I do if they sent me away? They will unless there are more patients. I'd go too. Don't be silly. You can't go yet. But get well quickly, darling, and we will go somewhere. And then what? Maybe the war will be over. It can't always go on. I'll get well, I said. Valentini will fix me. He should with those mustaches. And darling, when you're going under the ether, just think about something else, not us. Because people get very blabby under an anesthetic. What should I talk about? Anything. Anything but us. Think about your people, or even any other girl. No. Say your prayers then. That ought to create a splendid impression. Maybe I won't talk. That's true. Often people don't talk. I won't talk. Don't brag, darling. Please don't brag. You're so sweet, and you don't have to brag. I won't talk a word. Now you're bragging, darling. You know you don't need to brag. Just start your prayers or poetry or something when they tell you to breathe deeply. You'll be lovely that way, and I'll be so proud of you. I am very proud of you anyway. You have such a lovely temperature, and you sleep like a little boy with your arm around the pillow and think it's me. Or is it some other girl? Some fine Italian girl. It's you. Of course it's me. Oh, I do love you and Valentini. We'll make you a fine leg. I'm glad I don't have to watch it. And you'll be on night duty tonight. Yes, but you won't care. You wait and see. There, darling. Now you're all clean inside and out. Tell me, how many people have you ever loved? Nobody. Not me, even? Yes, you. How many others, really? None. How many have you, how do you say it, stayed with? None. You're lying to me. Yes. It's all right. Keep right on lying to me. That's what I want you to do. Were they pretty? I never stayed with anyone. That's right. Were they very attractive? I don't know anything about it. You're just mine. That's true, and you've never belonged to anyone else. But I don't care if you have. I'm not afraid of them. But don't tell me about them. When a man stays with a girl, when does she say how much it costs? I don't know. Of course not. Does she say she loves him? Tell me that. I want to know that. Yes, if he wants her to. Does he say he loves her? Tell me, please. It's important. He does if he wants to. But you never did? Really? No. Not really. tell me the truth? No, I lied. You wouldn't, she said. I knew you wouldn't. Oh, I love you, darling. Outside, the sun was up over the roofs, and I could see the points of the cathedral with the sunlight on them. I was clean inside and outside and waiting for the doctor. And that's it, Catherine said. She says just what she wants her to. She says just what he wants her to. Not always, but I will. I'll say just what you wish, and I'll do what you wish, and then you will never want any other girls, will you? She looked at me very happily. I'll do what you want and say what you want, and then I'll be a great success, won't I? Yes. What would you like me to do now that you're all ready? Come to the bed again. All right, I'll come. Oh, darling, 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 I said. You see, she said, I'll do anything you want. You're so lovely. I'm afraid I'm not very good at it yet. You're lovely. I want what you want. There isn't any me anymore. Just what you want. You sweet. I'm good. Aren't I good? You don't want any other girls, do you? No. You see, I'm good. I do what you want. Chapter 17. When I was awake after the operation, I had not been away. You do not go away. They only choke you. It is not like dying. It is just a chemical choking so you do not feel. And afterward, you might as well have been drunk, except that when you throw up, nothing comes but bile, and you do not feel better afterward. I saw sandbags at the end of the bed. They were on pipes that came out of the cast. After a while, I saw Miss Gage, and she said, "How is it now?" "Better," I said. "You did a wonderful job on your knee." "How long did it take?" 2 hours and a half. Did I say anything silly? Not a thing. Don't talk, just be quiet. I was sick, and Catherine was right. It did not make any difference who was on night duty. There were 3 other patients in the hospital now. A thin boy in the Red Cross from Georgia with malaria. A nice boy, also thin, from New York with malaria and jaundice. And a fine boy who had tried to unscrew the fuse cap from a combination shrapnel high explosive shell for a souvenir. This was a shrapnel shell used by the Austrians in the mountains, the nose cap, which went on after the burst and exploded on contact. Catherine Barclay was greatly liked by the nurses because she could do night duty indefinitely. She had quite a little work with the malaria people. The boy who had unscrewed the nose cap was a friend of ours and never rang at night unless it was necessary, but between the times of working we were together. I loved her very much, and she loved me. I slept in the daytime, and we wrote notes during the day when we were awake and sent them by Ferguson. Ferguson was a fine girl. I never learned anything about her except that she had a brother in the 52nd Division and a brother in Mesopotamia, and she was very good to Catherine Barclay. "Will you come to our wedding, Fergie?" I said to her once. "You'll never get married." "We will." "No, you won't." "Why not?" "You'll fight before you'll marry." "We never fight." "You've time yet." "We don't fight." "You'll die then." "Fight or die. That's what people do. They don't marry." I reached for her hand. "Don't take hold of me," she said. "I'm not crying. Maybe you'll be all right, you two. But watch out you don't get her in trouble. You get her in trouble and I'll kill you." "I won't get her in trouble." "We'll watch out then. I hope you'll be all right. You have a good time." "We have a fine time." "Don't fight then, and don't get her into trouble." "I won't." "Mind you, watch out. I don't want her with any of these war babies." "You're a fine girl, Fergie." "I'm not. Don't try to flatter me. How does your leg feel?" "Fine." "How is your head?" She touched the top of it with her fingers. It was sensitive, like a foot that had gone to sleep. It never bothered me. "A bump like that can make you crazy. It never bothers you?" "No." "You're a lucky man. Have you the letter done?" "I'm going down." "It's here," I said. "You ought to ask her not to do night duty for a while. She's getting very tired." "All right, I will." "I want to do it, but she won't let me. The others are glad to let her have it. You might give her just a little rest." "All right." "Miss Van Campen spoke about you sleeping all the forenoons." "She would." "It would be better if you let her stay off nights a little while." "I want her to." "You do not?" "But if you should make her, I'd respect you for it." "I'll make her." "I don't believe you. I don't believe it." She took the note and went out. I rang the bell, and in a little while, Miss Gage came in. "What's the matter?" "I just wanted to talk to you. Don't you think Miss Barclay ought to go off night duty for a while? She looks awfully tired. Why does she stay on so long?" Miss Gage looked at me. "I'm a friend of yours," she said. "You don't have to talk to me like that." "What do you mean?" "Don't be silly. Was that all you wanted? Do you want a vermouth? All right, gonna have to go. She got out the bottle from the armoire and brought a glass. You take the glass, I said. I'll drink out of the bottle. Here's to you, said Miss Gage. What did Van Campen say about me sleeping late in the mornings? She just jawed about it. She calls you our privileged patient. To hell with her. She isn't mean, Miss Gage said. She's just old and cranky. She never liked you. No. Well, I do. And I'm your friend. Don't forget that. You're awfully damn nice. No. I know who you think is nice. But I'm your friend. How does your leg feel? Fine. I'll bring some cold mineral water to pour over it. It must itch under the cast. It's hot outside. You're awful nice. Does it itch much? No, it's fine. I'll fix those sandbags better. She leaned over. I'm your friend. I know you are. No, you don't. But you will someday. Catherine Barkley took 3 nights off night duty, and then she came back on again. It was as though we met again after each of us had been away on a long journey. What just happened? Test, test. Test, test. That's not bad. Chapter 18. We had a lovely time that summer. When I could go out and we rode in a carriage in the park. I remember the carriage, the horse going slowly, and up ahead, the back of the driver with his varnished high hat, and Catherine Barkley sitting beside me. If we let our hands touch, just the side of my hand touching hers, we were excited. Afterward, when I could get around on crutches, we went to dinner at Beefy's on the Gran Italia and sat at the tables outside on the floor of the Galleria. The waiters came in and out, and there were people going by, and candles with shades on the tablecloths. And after we decided that we liked the Gran Italia best, George, the head waiter, saved us a table. He was a fine waiter, and we let him order the meal while we looked at the people, and the great Galleria in the dusk, and each other. We drank dry white Capri iced in a bucket, although we tried many of the other wines, Fresa, Barbera, and the sweet white wines. They had no wine waiter because of the war, and George would smile ashamedly when I asked him about wines like Fresa. If you imagine a country that makes a wine because it tastes like strawberries, he said. Why shouldn't it? Catherine asked. It sounds splendid. You try it, lady, said George, if you want to. But let me bring a little bottle of Margaux for the tenente. I'll try it too, George. Sir, I can't recommend you to. It doesn't even taste like strawberries. It might, said Catherine. It would be wonderful if it did. I'll bring it, said George. And when the lady is satisfied, I'll take it away. It was not much of a wine. As he said, it did not even taste like strawberries. We went back to Capri one evening. One evening I was short of money, and George loaned me 100 lire. That's all right, tenente, he said. I know how it is. I know how a man gets short. If you or the lady need money, I've always got money. After dinner, we walked through the Galleria, past the other restaurants, and the shops with their steel shutters down, and stopped at the little place where they sold sandwiches, ham and lettuce sandwiches, and anchovy sandwiches, made of very tiny brown glazed rolls, and only about as long as your finger. They were to eat in the night when we were hungry. Then we got into an open carriage outside the Galleria, in front of the cathedral, and rode to the hospital. At the door of the hospital, the porter came out to help with the crutches. I paid the driver, and then we rode upstairs in the elevator. Catherine got off at the lower level, where the nurses lived, and I went on up and went down the hall on crutches to my room. Sometimes I undressed and got into bed, and sometimes I sat on the balcony with my leg up on another chair and watched the swallows over the roofs and waited for Catherine. When she came upstairs, it was as though she had been away on a long trip, and I went along the hall with her on the crutches and carried the basins and waited outside the doors, or went in with her, it depending on whether they were friends of ours or not. And when she had done all there was to be done, we sat out on the balcony outside my room. Afterward, I went to bed, and when they were all asleep, and she was sure they would not call, she came in. I loved to take her hair down, and she sat on the bed and kept very still. Except, suddenly, she would dip down to kiss me while I was doing it, and I would take out the pins and lay them on the sheet, and it would be loose, and I would watch her while she kept very still, and then take out the last 2 pins, and it would all come down, and she would drop her head, and we would both be inside of it, and it was the feeling of inside a tent or behind a falls. She had wonderfully beautiful hair, and I would lie sometimes and watch her twisting it up in the light that came in the open door. And it shone even in the light as water shines sometimes just before it is really daylight. She had a lovely face and body and lovely smooth skin too. We would be lying together and I would touch her cheeks and her forehead and under her eyes and her chin and throat with the tips of my fingers and say, smooth as piano keys. And she would stroke my chin with her finger and say, smooth as emery paper and very hard on piano keys. Is it rough? No, darling. I was just making fun of you. It was lovely in the nights, and if we could only touch each other, we were happy. Besides all the big times, we had many small ways of making love, and we tried putting thoughts in the other one's head while we were in different rooms. It seemed to work sometimes, and that was probably because we were thinking the same thing anyway. We said to each other that we were married the first day she had come to the hospital, and we counted months from our wedding day. I wanted to be really married, but Catherine said that if we were, they would send her away, and if we merely started on the formalities, they would watch her and would break us up. We would have to be married under Italian law, and the formalities were terrific. I wanted us to be married, really, because I worried about having a child if I thought about it, but we pretended to ourselves we were married and did not worry much, and I suppose I enjoyed not being married, really. I know one night we talked about it, and Catherine said, but darling, they'd send me away. Maybe they wouldn't. They would. They'd send me home, and then we would be apart until after the war. I'd come on leave. You couldn't get to Scotland and back on leave. Besides, I won't leave you. What good would it do to marry now? We're really married. I couldn't be any more married. I only wanted to for you. There isn't any me. I'm you. Don't make up a separate me. I thought girls always wanted to be married. They do. But darling, I am married. I'm married to you. Don't I make a good wife? You're a lovely wife. You see, darling, I had one experience of waiting to be married. I don't want to hear about it. You see, darling, I had one experience of waiting to be married. I don't want to hear about it. You know I don't love anyone but you. You shouldn't mind because someone else loved me. I do. You shouldn't be jealous of someone who's dead when you have everything. No, but I don't want to hear about it. Poor darling. And I know you've been with all kinds of girls, and it doesn't matter to me. Couldn't we be married privately some way? Then if anything happened to me, or if you had a child. There's no way to be married except by church or state. We are married privately. See, darling, it would mean everything to me if I had any religion, but I haven't any religion. You gave me the St. Anthony. That was for luck. Someone gave it to me. Then nothing worries you. Only being sent away from you. You're my religion. You're all I've got. All right, but I'll marry you the day you say. Don't talk as though you had to make an honest woman of me, darling. I am a very honest woman. You can't be ashamed of something if you're only happy and proud of it. Aren't you happy? But you won't ever leave me for someone else. No, darling, I won't ever leave you for someone else. I suppose all sorts of dreadful things will happen to us, but you don't have to worry about that. I don't, but I love you so much, and you did love someone else before. And what happened to him? He died. Yes, and if he hadn't, I wouldn't have met you. I'm not unfaithful, darling. I have plenty of faults, but I'm very faithful. You'll be sick of me, I'll be so faithful. I'll have to go back to the front pretty soon. You won't think about that until you go. You see, I'm happy, darling, and we have a lovely time. I haven't been happy for a long time, and when I met you, perhaps I was nearly crazy. Perhaps I was crazy. But now we're happy, and we love each other. Let's please just be happy. You are happy, aren't you? Isn't there anything I do you don't like? Can I do anything to please you? Would you like me to take down my hair? Do you want to play? Yes, and come to bed. All right, I'll go and see the patients first.